The night winds of New Horizon carried a strange stillness, a calm that belied the imminent storm gathering beyond the planet's atmosphere. Emma Rodriguez stood within the central command hub, her fingers trailing across holographic displays that mapped the incoming threat with clinical precision. The colony's defense systems hummed with a quiet intensity, a technological heartbeat that pulsed beneath the surface of seemingly ordinary infrastructure. Outside, the colony looked deceptively mundane. Hydroponic towers rose like silent sentinels among carefully cultivated fields. Prefabricated housing units blended seamlessly with the rocky terrain, their adaptive exterior panels shifting color to match the surrounding landscape. To an untrained eye, this would appear to be just another frontier settlement, a small human outpost struggling to survive on the edge of explored space. But New Horizon was anything but ordinary. The colony had been established 7 years earlier by a consortium of ex-military personnel, cutting-edge researchers, and visionary entrepreneurs who understood one fundamental truth. Survival demanded more than just resilience. It required constant innovation, adaptability, and a willingness to challenge every conventional understanding of human potential. Emma Rodriguez embodied that philosophy perfectly. Once a lead systems engineer for the Global Defense Initiative, she had grown disillusioned with bureaucratic limitations. Her breakthrough work in adaptive defense algorithms had been shelved, deemed too radical by military leadership. Here, on New Horizon, those same algorithms would become the backbone of an unprecedented defensive strategy. The long-range sensors picked up the first wave of incoming ships. Commander Vex Kurl of the Crimson Legion had no idea what awaited him. The Mercenary force was a collection of the most ruthless fighters from a dozen different star systems. They had crushed rebellions, toppled governments, and exterminated entire colonies without a second thought. Their reputation was built on absolute efficiency and total ruthlessness. The contract to suppress the New Horizon colony was just another job. A simple pacification mission that promised substantial payment from the Zarian Confederation. Kurl reviewed the intelligence reports one final time. Satellite imagery showed a small colony of approximately 3,000 inhabitants. Basic infrastructure, minimal defensive capabilities, standard colonial setup with predictable vulnerabilities. He had conquered settlements 10 times this size with a fraction of his current force. What Kurl didn't know was that every piece of information he possessed was deliberately crafted misinformation. In the colony's underground research complex, Jack Thompson monitored the incoming fleet with a mix of professional calm and barely contained excitement. A former Marine turned agricultural engineer, Thompson represented another crucial aspect of New Horizon's unique ecosystem. Here, specialization was a weakness. Every colonist was cross-trained, every system designed with multiple layers of redundancy and unexpected potential. Incoming fleet composition confirmed, he reported to Emma, his voice steady. 47 primary assault vessels, approximately 12 support ships. Weapon signatures match Crimson Legion standard loadout. Emma nodded, her fingers already dancing across the holographic interface. Layers of defensive protocols began to activate, not as a simple military response, but as a complex, adaptive network that would turn the incoming invasion into a carefully orchestrated demonstration. The colony's true strength lay not in traditional military might, but in its ability to transform every system, every piece of equipment into a potential weapon. Agricultural drones could become precision strike platforms. Communication relays could jam and misdirect enemy signals. Even the hydroponic system contained molecular-level defensive capabilities that most military strategists would never comprehend. Initiate Phase 1, Emma commanded. Across the colony, systems that appeared dormant began to awaken. Defensive emplacements emerged from the landscape, their adaptive camouflage making them virtually invisible until the moment of activation. Quantum-encrypted communication networks spread like a living web, connecting every colonist into a unified, responsive organism. The Crimson Legion was about to learn a fundamental lesson about human potential. As the mercenary fleet began its descent, none of them realized they were flying into a trap decades in the making, a crucible of human innovation that would redefine the very concept of frontier survival. The first wave of Crimson Legion dropships pierced New Horizons' atmosphere like burning needles, their advanced heat shields glowing with intense crimson light. Commander Vex Kroll watched the tactical displays, expecting the typical panic of a frontier colony under sudden assault. His veterans had crushed dozens of similar settlements across the galaxy, and this would be no different. Inside the colony's primary defense hub, Emma Rodriguez tracked each incoming vessel with mathematical precision. Her fingers moved across holographic interfaces, not in panic, but with the calm of a conductor orchestrating a complex symphony of destruction. Incoming first wave. Jack Thompson's voice cut through the command center's tension. 32 primary assault pods, Vector Gamma 6. The dropships began their descent, their advanced sensor packages sweeping the landscape for potential defensive positions. Corell's tactical teams had perfected their approach over hundreds of planetary conquests. Automated scanning systems would identify key infrastructure, communication nodes, and potential resistance centers within seconds of landing. What they didn't realize was that every scan was already being anticipated, manipulated, and turned against them. As the first dropships touched down, the colony's landscape seemed to shimmer and transform. What appeared to be simple rock formations suddenly revealed intricate defensive emplacements. Automated turret systems emerged from what moments before had looked like ordinary boulder clusters, their targeting systems operating on principles far beyond conventional military technology. The first Crimson Legion shock troops hit the ground running, their powered exoskeletons providing enhanced speed and strength. Veteran soldiers who had crushed rebellions across a dozen star systems, they moved with mechanical precision. Standard colonial resistance would typically crumble within minutes of their assault. But New Horizon was anything but standard. Jack Thompson led a response team that defied every conventional understanding of military engagement. What had once been agricultural monitoring drones now became precision strike platforms. Modified harvesting equipment transformed into improvised heavy weapons, their targeting systems linked through a quantum communication network that made traditional military coordination look like children's walkie-talkies. Drone Squadron Delta, engage, Thompson commanded. Overhead, what appeared to be simple environmental monitoring devices suddenly revealed themselves as sophisticated combat platforms. Electromagnetic pulse generators mounted on agricultural drones began to systematically disable the mercenaries' advanced combat systems. Adaptive camouflage technology made the human defenders virtually invisible, striking with precision that seemed to defy the laws of traditional warfare. Commander Kroll watched in growing disbelief as his first wave of assault troops began to disintegrate. These weren't the scattered colonists of his intelligence reports. Every defensive position seemed to anticipate his troops' movements, every system working in a coordinated dance of technological innovation. A squad of mercenary heavy infantry found themselves caught in a perfect kill box. What seemed like a simple rocky outcropping transformed into a multi-layered defensive position. Molecular adaptive barriers absorbed weapon impacts, while counterattack systems emerged from seemingly impossible angles. Emma Rodriguez monitored the battle with a clinical detachment, her adaptive algorithms running countless potential scenarios in real time. Each mercenary movement was not just observed but anticipated, manipulated, turned into a weapon against the invading force. Targeting systems optimal, she reported, her voice calm despite the chaos unfolding outside. Defensive network at 98.7% efficiency. The colony's hydroponics system became an unexpected weapon. Genetically modified plant-based compounds were released into the local atmosphere, creating localized electromagnetic interference that disrupted the mercenaries' advanced communication systems. What should have been a simple agricultural safety mechanism became a sophisticated defensive tool. Kroll's veteran troops found themselves fighting an enemy that seemed to be everywhere and nowhere. Defensive systems emerged from the landscape itself, adaptive technologies that transformed every piece of infrastructure into a potential weapon. Agricultural drones became precision strike platforms. Communication relays became electronic warfare centers. By the battle's first hour, the Crimson Legion had lost nearly 40% of its initial assault force. They had come expecting a simple pacification mission. Instead, they found themselves fighting a living, breathing ecosystem of human innovation that turned every conventional understanding of warfare on its head. The first strike of New Horizon had become a masterclass in technological adaptation, and the battle was just beginning. The analysis chamber hummed with an electric intensity as Emma Rodriguez carefully dissected the captured Crimson Legion technology. Surrounding her, a team of specialists worked with a combination of scientific precision and barely contained excitement. Each piece of mercenary equipment told a story, and those stories were about to be completely rewritten. Jack Thompson stood near a holographic display, his fingers tracing the intricate molecular structures of a captured energy weapon. What the mercenaries considered cutting-edge technology looked to the New Horizon team like a primitive first attempt at understanding energy manipulation. "Look at the quantum coupling," Emma murmured, zooming in on a microscopic circuit board. "Their entire communication infrastructure is built on linear signal propagation. It's like watching someone try to build a computer with stone tools." The captured technology revealed layers of vulnerability that went far beyond simple mechanical limitations. The Crimson Legion's most advanced systems were riddled with predictable communication patterns, easily exploitable security protocols, and fundamental design flaws that spoke to a deeply limited understanding of adaptive technology. Dr. Michael Reynolds, the colony's chief research scientist, carefully examined a mercenary combat exoskeleton. What should have been a pinnacle of military engineering looked to him like a crude approximation of human potential. "The neural interface is fascinating," he noted, his voice a mixture of professional detachment and scientific wonder. "They've created a system that connects to the user's nervous system, but it's essentially a one-way communication. No real-time adaptive feedback, no molecular-level responsiveness." Emma nodded, pulling up a holographic representation of the exoskeleton's internal systems. Each component was broken down, analyzed, and compared to New Horizon's own technological developments. The differences were stark and telling. The colony's research team had been working on adaptive technology that blurred the lines between biological and mechanical systems. Their exoskeleton designs could reshape themselves in real time, responding to environmental conditions, user physiology, and tactical requirements, with a fluidity that made the mercenary technology look like a child's mechanical toy. "Quantum entanglement communication," Jack pointed out, highlighting a specific section of the captured communications array. "They're still using classical encryption methods. It's like watching someone try to send a message by shouting across a canyon when we developed instantaneous thought transmission." Each piece of captured equipment became a puzzle, and the New Horizon team was determined to solve it completely. What the Crimson Legion saw as proprietary military technology, the colonists viewed as an opportunity for unprecedented innovation. Dr. Rebecca Chen, a specialist in adaptive materials, carefully examined a fragment of the mercenary vessel's hull plating. Her analysis revealed fundamental limitations in their understanding of materials science. "Look at the molecular bonding," she explained to the team. "They're using a linear approach to material design. Our adaptive materials can literally reshape themselves in response to environmental stress. Their hull would catastrophically fail under conditions that our systems would simply absorb and redistribute." The implications went far beyond simple military technology. Each revelation spoke to a fundamental difference in approach. The mercenaries saw technology as a tool to be wielded, while the New Horizon colonists viewed it as a living, adaptive system. Emma began compiling a comprehensive report, her fingers dancing across holographic interfaces. The captured technology would be completely reverse-engineered, adapted, and then transformed into something entirely new. What the Crimson Legion had brought as a weapon of conquest would become a cornerstone of human technological advancement. "Quantum neural mapping," Jack muttered, examining a particularly complex piece of mercenary equipment. They've barely scratched the surface of neural technological integration. The team worked with a sense of purpose that went beyond simple military advantage. This was about pushing the boundaries of human potential, about understanding the fundamental limitations that most societies placed on technological innovation. As the day progressed, the analysis chamber became a crucible of human ingenuity. Captured mercenary technology was systematically dismantled, understood, and reimagined. What had been brought as a weapon of destruction would become a catalyst for unprecedented technological leap. By nightfall, the Crimson Legion's most advanced systems had been reduced to little more than educational artifacts, primitive first steps on a technological journey that the New Horizon colony was now poised to revolutionize. The true weapon wasn't the technology itself. It was the human capacity to understand, adapt, and transform. The communication channels crackled with an unexpected intensity. What began as a standard military invasion had transformed into something far more complex, a battle fought not just with weapons, but with narratives, memories, and the deepest human connections. Emma Rodriguez understood the power of information in a way few military strategists could comprehend. The first wave of psychological counterattack was about to begin. In the central communication hub, Jack Thompson worked alongside a team of specialists who were anything but traditional warriors. Linguists, psychologists, data analysts, and communication experts formed a unit dedicated to a form of warfare that went far beyond physical conflict. "Prepare Narrative Package Alpha," Emma commanded, her fingers moving across holographic interfaces that seemed to breathe with living information. The first broadcast went out across all Crimson Legion communication frequencies. It wasn't a threat. It wasn't a warning. It was something far more devastating. Personal stories began to flood the mercenary communication networks. Each transmission contained the detailed life history of a fallen soldier, not as a statistical report, but as a deeply human narrative. Marcus Reyes, a mercenary squad leader killed in the first wave of assault, became more than just a casualty. His complete life story unfolded. A son from a struggling colony world who had joined the Crimson Legion to support his aging parents, his dreams of becoming a terraforming engineer. The letter he had written to his younger sister just days before the invasion, filled with hopes of saving enough money to bring her to a better world. Another transmission detailed the life of Elena Volkov, a veteran communications specialist. Her journey from a remote mining colony, her struggles, her small acts of kindness, the intricate network of relationships she had built throughout her career. Each detail was meticulously sourced, verified, and presented with a brutal emotional clarity. Commander Vex Kroll watched these transmissions with growing unease. This was unlike any psychological warfare he had encountered in decades of mercenary operations. The colonists weren't just fighting. They were forcing the Crimson Legion to see the humanity of each soldier they had sent into battle. Every fallen mercenary became more than a statistic. They became a person with hopes, dreams, and connections. Dr. Rebecca Chen, the colony's lead psychological warfare specialist, explained the strategy to the command team. "We're not just attacking their physical capabilities," she said, her voice calm and clinical. "We're dismantling their psychological infrastructure. A mercenary force operates on emotional detachment. We're introducing radical empathy as a weapon." The broadcasts continued, each more intricate than the last. Family photos, personal messages, detailed reconstructions of individual lives. The Crimson Legion's communication networks became flooded with a tsunami of deeply personal information. Jack Thompson monitored the psychological impact in real time. Sophisticated algorithms tracked communication patterns, emotional responses, and unit cohesion. The mercenary force was experiencing something they had never encountered, a complete breakdown of their emotional barriers. Some mercenary units began to fracture. Communication became erratic. Unit cohesion started to collapse as soldiers confronted the human cost of their mission. Emotional resonance at 62.3%, Thompson reported. Sympathy vectors increasing exponentially. The psychological attack was multilayered. It wasn't just about presenting individual stories. It was about demonstrating the fundamental interconnectedness of human experience. Each broadcast subtly highlighted the similarities between the mercenaries and the colonists. Shared struggles, similar dreams, universal human experiences. Commander Kurl recognized the brilliance of the strategy. This wasn't traditional psychological warfare. This was a complete deconstruction of the mercenary worldview. By the third day, entire mercenary units were experiencing what psychological experts called narrative paralysis. The clear lines between mission objectives and human cost had been irrevocably blurred. Emma Rodriguez watched the psychological battlefield with the same precision she applied to their technological defenses. Each transmission was carefully crafted, each narrative a surgical strike against the mercenaries' emotional defenses. The Crimson Legion was about to learn that the most powerful weapon wasn't found in their advanced weaponry. It was the capacity for human beings to truly see each other, and New Horizon was just getting started. The communication channel opened with a clarity that sent a chill through the Crimson Legion's command structure. Commander Vex Krull found himself staring at a holographic projection of Emma Rodriguez, not as a battlefield opponent, but as something entirely unexpected. "We propose an alternative," she began, her voice devoid of typical military bravado. The timing was deliberate. The Crimson Legion had lost nearly 60% of its initial assault force. Their advanced technologies lay in pieces, their psychological warfare defenses completely shattered. What should have been a moment of total military triumph had transformed into something far more complex. Jack Thompson stood beside Emma, his presence a carefully calculated element of the communication, where she represented strategic precision. He embodied a more human approach, the bridge between technological superiority and fundamental human potential. "Surrender is not the end," Emma continued. "It's a beginning." The offer defied every known protocol of interstellar conflict. Total integration, full honor preservation, a chance to become part of something larger than a mercenary contract. It was so contrary to everything the Crimson Legion understood about warfare that it momentarily froze the entire invasion force. Commander Kurl recognized the brilliance of the strategy. This wasn't a traditional surrender. This was a complete reimagining of conflict resolution. Dr. Rebecca Chen had spent months developing the psychological framework for this moment. The offer wasn't just about military defeat, it was about demonstrating a fundamentally different approach to human potential. Each word was carefully constructed to challenge the mercenaries' entire worldview. "Your skills are valuable," Jack Thompson added. "Your experience is a resource. Your potential is unrealized." The communication channels revealed the intricate groundwork the colony had prepared. Detailed profiles of each mercenary unit had been compiled, not as intelligence for destruction, but as a comprehensive understanding of human potential. Educational pathways, technological integration opportunities, personal development frameworks. What the Crimson Legion had seen as a simple pacification mission had transformed into an unprecedented social experiment. Intercepted communication logs showed the growing confusion within mercenary ranks. Standard military hierarchy began to break down as individual soldiers started to comprehend the magnitude of the offer. This wasn't about submission. It was about transformation. Emma Rodriguez understood the psychological complexity of the moment. The offer was precisely calibrated, challenging enough to be compelling, supportive enough to feel genuinely hopeful. Each word was a carefully designed algorithm of human motivation. "We don't want soldiers," she explained. "We want innovators, creators, problem solvers." The colony's infrastructure began to reveal itself in ways the mercenaries had never anticipated. Captured equipment wasn't being destroyed. It was being studied, understood, prepared for integration. Every piece of technology, every skill set, was viewed as a potential resource. Dr. Michael Reynolds had prepared comprehensive integration protocols, technological retraining, psychological support systems, educational pathways that would transform former mercenaries into something entirely new. Commander Kurl felt the weight of the moment. Decades of military experience had prepared him for countless scenarios. But nothing like this. The Crimson Legion had conquered colonies, crushed rebellions, toppled governments. They had never been offered a future. Jack Thompson displayed a comprehensive breakdown of integration opportunities, advanced technological training, ecological restoration projects, colonial expansion initiatives. Each pathway was a challenge and an invitation. "Your past doesn't define your potential," Emma said, her final statement hanging in the communication space. "Your choices do." The offer represented more than a simple military strategy. It was a fundamental challenge to every existing paradigm of interstellar conflict. Surrender was no longer about defeat. It was about discovery. Some mercenary units began to transmit preliminary acceptance signals. Others remained in stunned silence. The communication channels vibrated with a complex mixture of confusion, hope, and unprecedented possibility. Commander Kroll realized that the Crimson Legion had come to conquer a colony. Instead, they had encountered a civilization that operated on an entirely different level of human potential. The impossible offer had been made. The real challenge was just beginning. The integration facility rose from New Horizons' landscape like a beacon of unprecedented possibility. Its adaptive architecture shifted and reconfigured, a physical manifestation of the colony's core philosophy. Constant transformation, endless potential. Lieutenant Marcus Chen stood among the first group of surrendered mercenaries, his past life seemingly a distant memory. The facility around him defied every expectation he had about rehabilitation or prisoner processing. This was something entirely different. "Your first assessment begins in 30 minutes, Dr. Rebecca Chen explained, her voice a blend of professional detachment and genuine curiosity. "This isn't about breaking you down. It's about building you up." The initial processing challenged everything the mercenaries understood about institutional systems. Instead of confinement, they encountered a comprehensive evaluation of individual potential. Psychological assessments merged with technological aptitude tests, creating a holistic profile that went far beyond military capabilities. Jack Thompson oversaw the initial integration phase, his background as a multidisciplinary expert making him the perfect bridge between the mercenaries' past and their potential future. Each surrendered soldier represented a complex set of skills, experiences, and unrealized potential. "We're not interested in your previous mission," Thompson explained to a group of bewildered mercenary veterans. "We're interested in what you can become." The facility's training modules were unlike any military or rehabilitation system previously encountered. Adaptive learning environments that responded in real time to individual psychological and cognitive responses. Technology that could identify and nurture latent skills that had been suppressed by years of mercenary conditioning. Emma Rodriguez had designed the integration protocols with mathematical precision. Each module was a carefully constructed algorithm of human potential, breaking down previous limitations and rebuilding individual capability from the ground up. Lieutenant Chen found himself in a training scenario that defied comprehension. What appeared to be a simple environmental simulation suddenly transformed into a complex problem-solving exercise. Technological systems that seemed passive would suddenly require intricate psychological and technical collaboration. "Your previous training taught you to follow orders," one of the integration specialists noted during a comprehensive assessment. "We're teaching you to ask questions, to create, to imagine." The mercenaries discovered that their previous skills were just the beginning. A communication specialist found herself learning advanced ecological restoration techniques. A combat engineer was introduced to quantum computing principles. Every predetermined limitation was systematically dismantled. Dr. Michael Reynolds monitored the integration process with scientific fascination. The human brain's neuroplasticity under these conditions was unprecedented. Mercenaries who had been conditioned for decades were showing remarkable adaptive capabilities within weeks of entering the program. "It's not about erasing their past," Reynolds explained to Emma Rodriguez. "It's about providing a framework for comprehensive personal evolution." Some mercenary units integrated more quickly than others. Those who embraced the process discovered capabilities they had never imagined. Technical skills merged with personal development. Psychological barriers dissolved as new possibilities emerged. Commander Vex Kroll, the former leader of the Crimson Legion, found himself in the most challenging transformation. His entire understanding of leadership, of human potential, was being systematically reconstructed. The colony's integration approach was fundamentally revolutionary. It wasn't rehabilitation. It wasn't retraining. It was a complete reimagining of human capability. Advanced neural interface technologies allowed for unprecedented learning experiences, simulation environments that could reconstruct entire planetary ecosystems, problem-solving scenarios that required complete interdisciplinary collaboration. The mercenaries were learning that their previous understanding of human potential was embarrassingly limited. By the end of the first month, something extraordinary began to emerge. The surrendered mercenaries were no longer simply integrated, they were becoming something new. The hybrid workforce that combined decades of practical experience with the colony's innovative approach to human development. Jack Thompson watched the transformation with a sense of quiet satisfaction. This was more than a successful integration. This was a living experiment in human potential. We're not just changing individuals, he noted during a progress review. We're demonstrating a completely new approach to human development. The Crimson Legion had come to conquer a colony. Instead, they were becoming part of something far greater than they could have ever imagined. The transformation was just beginning. 6 months into the integration program, New Horizon had become something entirely unprecedented. What had begun as a colonial defense against mercenary invasion had transformed into a living laboratory of human potential. Commander Vex Kroll stood at the center of an ecological restoration project, his hands buried in soil that was being systematically transformed by technologies that defied his previous understanding of planetary engineering. The mercenary who had once conquered worlds now worked to rebuild them. Soil microbiome stabilization at 73.4%, he reported, his voice carrying a mixture of professional precision and something new, genuine excitement. Emma Rodriguez watched the transformation with a scientific detachment that barely concealed her deeper emotional investment. Each integrated former mercenary represented more than an individual success story. They were living proof of a radical approach to human development. The colony's integration program had become something far beyond a simple rehabilitation process. It was a comprehensive reimagining of human potential. Lieutenant Marcus Chen led a team developing advanced communication systems that merged biological adaptive technologies with quantum computing principles. His previous life as a mercenary communications specialist had been just a primitive first step. Here, he was learning to think about communication in ways he had never imagined possible. Dr. Rebecca Chen monitored the psychological transformations with meticulous care. The neural plasticity demonstrated by the integrated mercenaries was unprecedented. Individuals who had been conditioned for decades of conflict were showing remarkable capacity for creative problem-solving, empathy, and collaborative innovation. We're not just retraining, she explained during a progress review. We're demonstrating the fundamental malleability of human potential. Jack Thompson had developed a training framework that systematically dismantled previous limitations. Each integrated individual went through a comprehensive development process that merged technological training, psychological support, and creative problem-solving. The former mercenaries discovered capabilities that had been suppressed by years of military conditioning. A combat engineer found herself leading a breakthrough in renewable energy design. A tactical communications specialist developed new approaches to ecological communication networks that could revolutionize planetary restoration efforts. Commander Kroll's own transformation became a focal point of the integration process. The leader who had once commanded destruction now led initiatives for planetary reconstruction. His tactical skills found new expression in complex ecological and social engineering projects. Advanced neural interface technologies allowed for learning experiences that defied traditional educational models. Immersive simulation environments could reconstruct entire planetary ecosystems, allowing individuals to understand complex systemic interactions at a fundamental level. Dr. Michael Reynolds documented the transformation with scientific rigor. The integrated mercenaries were developing capabilities that went far beyond their original skill sets. Technological aptitude merged with psychological flexibility, creating a workforce unlike anything previously encountered. We're seeing the emergence of true multidisciplinary capability, Reynolds noted during a research presentation. Individuals who can simultaneously understand complex technological systems, psychological dynamics, and ecological interactions. The colony's approach represented a fundamental challenge to existing models of human development. Traditional military training, corporate skills development, and educational systems all seemed primitive by comparison. Emma Rodriguez had designed the integration protocols as a comprehensive algorithm of human potential. Each individual went through a personalized development process that identified and nurtured latent capabilities. What had been viewed as fixed limitations were revealed to be simply unexplored potential. By the 9th month, something extraordinary had emerged. The integrated former mercenaries were no longer simply workers or rehabilitated soldiers. They had become innovators, creators, problem solvers who approached challenges with a unique combination of practical experience and adaptive thinking. Jack Thompson reflected on the transformation during a strategy session. "We're not just changing individuals," he observed. "We're demonstrating a completely new approach to human development." The Crimson Legion had come to conquer a colony. Instead, they had encountered a civilization that understood a fundamental truth. Human potential is limited only by imagination and opportunity. As the first year of integration concluded, New Horizon had become more than a colony. It was a living experiment in human transformation, a beacon of possibility that would challenge every existing understanding of human potential. The Crucible was just beginning to reveal its true potential. The story of New Horizons spread through galactic communication networks like a quantum pulse, challenging every existing paradigm of interstellar conflict, human potential, and social development. What had begun as a simple mercenary invasion had transformed into a case study of unprecedented human innovation. The Zarian Confederation found itself confronting a model of human development that rendered their traditional understanding of colonization, conflict, and social organization obsolete. Emma Rodriguez stood before an interstellar diplomatic conference, her presentation a culmination of the colony's extraordinary journey. Behind her, holographic displays showed the comprehensive transformation of the former Crimson Legion members, now integrated innovators working on complex planetary restoration projects, advanced technological development, and social innovation initiatives. "Conflict is not a destination," she explained, her voice carrying the weight of empirical evidence. "It's an opportunity for transformation." Commander Vex Krull, once the most feared mercenary leader in the Outer Rim, now served as a key strategic advisor. His testimony became a pivotal element in understanding the colony's approach. The military strategists who had commissioned the initial invasion found themselves studying a completely unexpected outcome. Jack Thompson had developed a comprehensive framework that documented the integration process. Each former mercenary's journey became a detailed case study in human adaptability. Psychological profiles, technological skill development, and personal narrative arcs were meticulously compiled. The colony's approach challenged fundamental assumptions about human potential. Traditional rehabilitation models, military training protocols, and social integration strategies appeared primitive by comparison. New Horizon had demonstrated that human beings were far more adaptable than any existing system had believed possible. Dr. Rebecca Chen presented the psychological research findings. The neural plasticity demonstrated by the integrated individuals was unprecedented. Individuals who had been conditioned for decades of conflict showed remarkable capacity for empathy, creative problem-solving, and collaborative innovation. "We're not just changing individuals," she explained to the diplomatic conference. "We're demonstrating a fundamental truth about human potential." The economic implications were equally profound. The integrated former mercenaries had become a workforce unlike anything previously encountered. Multidisciplinary experts who could simultaneously understand complex technological systems, ecological interactions, and social dynamics. Dr. Michael Reynolds had documented the comprehensive transformation. What had appeared to be fixed limitations were revealed to be simply unexplored potential. Each integrated individual represented a living demonstration of human adaptability. The Zarian Confederation found itself at a crossroads. The invasion they had commissioned had not only failed, but had produced an outcome that challenged their entire understanding of human development, conflict resolution, and social organization. Intelligence reports streamed in from across multiple star systems. Other colonies, other civilizations began to study the New Horizon model. What had seemed like a localized incident was transforming into a fundamental challenge to existing interstellar paradigms. Commander Kural's testimony became a pivotal moment in the diplomatic discussions. The mercenary leader who had once commanded destruction now spoke about planetary restoration, human potential, and the possibility of transformation. "We came to conquer," he explained candidly. "We discovered something far more valuable." Emma Rodriguez presented a comprehensive framework that went beyond the specific incident. It was a model for human development that could be applied across multiple contexts, from conflict resolution to social innovation, from technological development to ecological restoration. The holographic displays told a story more powerful than any traditional diplomatic presentation. Former soldiers working on advanced ecological restoration projects, mercenary communication specialists developing quantum communication networks, tactical experts leading social innovation initiatives. Jack Thompson had compiled a detailed analysis of the integration process. Each case study became a testament to human potential. Individuals who had been conditioned for conflict were now leading initiatives for collaboration, innovation, and planetary restoration. As the diplomatic conference concluded, something fundamental had changed. The Zarian Confederation's attempt to suppress a human colony had backfired in the most extraordinary way possible. What had been intended as an act of conquest had become a demonstration of human potential that would reshape understanding across multiple star systems. New Horizon was more than a colony. It was a living experiment in human transformation, a beacon of possibility that challenged every existing limitation. The real invasion, they realized, had been an invasion of possibility.